Hi guys, Mr. John here. In this video will be a repair of this particular car stereo. It's a Samsung one. As you can see, this is one of the three you saw in my previous video, maybe. The man came to me today. He was on his way from work just to ask what's with the progress. I said I didn't look at them yet, and he humbly asked to look at this one first. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I ain't gonna lie, I took a peek inside and but I didn't do anything yet. I just took out the screws, which you can see here, just to save time. So first thing you do is you smell it. This one doesn't really have a distinctive burnt smell. That's good. Next thing you do is you undo screws. In this case there are little triangles that point to the screws you must take out in order to take it apart. That's handy. In this particular case it is 1, 2, 3 screws in the back on the heatsink. So after you remove those, you just pry it up like that, probably with a flathead screwdriver, and then you just get it out of the way. Alright. Now that's a relatively old model, so it has a tape transport inside, which you can remove by, in this case, removing a couple of screws around the perimeter. You need to look up what screws are responsible for holding the tape transport, because there's just no, I don't think you will come up, you will need to repair this exact model. Just general sense, common sense will help you on the way. In this case I undid those screws. Now I undo the couple of connectors. That's a power one and that's a signal one. How can I tell that this is a signal one? Because this has this relatively fat looking wire, and that is nothing else than a coax, a little shielded cable that delivers the signal from the head to the board. There's, by the way, a single inline package right there, very near the connector, and that is most likely a preamplifier to amplify the signal from the head and then feed that signal into the multiplexer, which chooses what to feed into the power amplifier, the signal from tape or the signal from tuner, which you can see on the left. So just unplug those connectors and pull it out of the way. In this particular one, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that belt is alright actually. It's not rotten yet. That's kinda nice. Having said that, I doubt they will use a cassette functionality of it. This one has a detachable panel, so you do that. And since I already undid the screws, the one screw that I had to undo except those is the one that was holding this TO220F package to the bottom plate, which acts as a heatsink for that part. But since I removed that, I can now slide it out with a little bit of finesse. It will come out. By the way, you may probably already see the problem. Well, one of the problems. This capacitor is not just bulged, it is blown. As you can clearly see from the top, this capacitor successfully vented, because you can see a slit there. So that's a must to go part. Next thing you do is you should really just take your time and do a visual inspection. I don't see anything really bad on the top side, so I'm gonna flip it and look at the solder side. And after I do that, after some time, I discover this. Let me get, okay, make sure that the image is focused, which it is. Good. I'm gonna get something to point with, and right there. You can see that this track has seen better days. It is burnt open right there, and due to excess heat, it saw the solder mask just went off of this entire length. And this track, as you can see, is come undone. Has come undone, just nothing. By the way, if you take your time and track this track, haha, it actually comes to this, which is ground. How do I know that this is ground? Well, if I go further, I see it coming to the pin of the connector, which is labeled on the seal screen as ground. Another way how to tell that this track is connected right here to this solder joint, and that solder joint is nothing else than a negative lead of this capacitor. So, okay, I take my time and I dig again, and I see again a burnt track right here. Focus. Focus, you fake. There we go. This track is a little bit burnt, isn't it? So I'm gonna fix all of that. Here I'm just gonna take some clipped off lead from the any component, and I'm gonna just bridge the gap. For this one, I think I'm gonna go take an insulated wire, and I'm gonna solder one end here, another end here. I'm gonna actually lay it in this exact way, so it will look nice and ain't gonna bother with it too much. I could have just bridged it like this to here, but there must be a reason that they snaked it all over there here. This is just burnt very well. Let me get some magnifying glass so you can see it better. If it will focus. That's how that track looks like. As you can see, it is discolored very well. So, I'm gonna go and do just what I told. I'm gonna replace this capacitor. I'm gonna bridge this gap, and I'm gonna put a wire across here to here. Hold on. Okay, how do I repair the burnt track? That I go actually, I lift the free end and I just peel it off. That may sound ridiculous, but you just lightly, do not apply a lot of force, just lightly peel it off, and it will stop in one place. As you can see, it stopped right there. So next thing I do is I take an X-Acto knife or any sharp knife, and I cut the track a little bit away from that spot which is holding nicely. So I'm gonna just cut right here, about 1 millimeter or so away from it. And then I peel it off completely, and it will provide a nice sturdy pad to solder to. Make sure not to leave any burnt copper tracks on this side. Make sure to leave it clean, because that may short something out and cause way more hassle than you have to handle. I'm gonna do the same to this side, and that's enough, you got the idea. Come on. So here I place a reasonably thick lead right there, which, as you can see, I tacked solder on this side. Now I applied flux, and I'm gonna flow a nice amount of solder on each end. Obviously, you then go to the end which you didn't tack. And you make sure it has a nice fillet to it. That looks good. Now I do the same to this side. A visual inspection. That's alright. Just to make it look a bit neater. Gonna do this. Very functional. Here is the result. Focus. Come on. Focus. There we go. You can see it, can't you? Now, this loop. The finished result looks like this. Not the best looking one, but will do the job just fine. You can go an extra mile and you can put a little dab of super glue here and there to fix the thing in place. The damn flies won't leave me alone. Freaking flying ass. So that's how nice that blown capacitor looks like. The value, by the way, is 2200 microfarad 16 volt. Okay, burnt tracks are repaired. Blown capacitor has been replaced. Let's put it back together, but not fully. I ain't gonna put the screws yet. I'm just gonna cobble it together quickly to test the functionality. Now I'm gonna need a test speaker. The ideal situation is when you have all 4 speakers, but you can test one at a time. It will just take more time, obviously. By the way, I forgot to mention, if you don't have the connector for it, you should take your time and look at the silk screen on the other side, on the solder side. In that case, you saw probably, I hope, that when I showed the repaired connections and the blown electrolytic, previously you saw some silk screen around here on this connector which said that this pin is plus to the battery and the second one is accessory. So in order to turn it on you need a positive 12 volts on both. And the ground is the case. I'm gonna leave the hood open in case that something catches on fire. I can get more interesting video. Okay, let's see. Let me connect it. Oh, dumbass. I can use crocodile clip right here. Okay, that fits very well, like it's supposed to do that. Okay, I turned on and I quickly saw 40 milliamps consumption. Now we're down to about 10. Now we're down to about 0, as my power supply says, but I don't have very low resolutions there. So nothing's smoking. So next thing I turned on, and I do see something on the screen. I hope you can see it as well. There we go. You can see that it says FM 87.5 on the screen. And obviously if I would put a cassette, it would switch to tape. So now what I should do is I should get a speaker and test each and every channel. This chip is really rather large, has a large number of pins, so it's a true quad channel amplifier. So I turn it off. I go get a test speaker, and where to connect the test speaker as well. You look at the silk screen on the other side, and if not, you take your time, find the datasheet for the power amplifier, and get the and search for what is the output pin of that particular amplifier, and then trace those outputs to the connector and connect there. Takes more time, but unfortunately you can't really find a proper service manual for these cheap devices. That's the way it is. I lucked out on this one because I have a nice silk screen on that connector which tells me what is what. So let me guess the test speaker and let us check is everything okay, because if it is, that's a piece of cake. 2 burnt connections, 2 pieces of wire and 1 electrolytic, and here we go. Okay, what test speaker to use? To be safe, use an 8-ohm speaker, it can't hurt. You turn it on. You don't have to attach an antenna. Just make sure the volume is reasonably high. It is at 10 right now. Should be alright. It's very convenient. The pin out on this connector is, because that's a one pair of output, that's one output, this one and this one. Another output is this one and this one, and exactly the same on the bottom. Here that's a one pair and that's another pair. Very handy. I can access the top one very easily here from this side, so that's what I'm gonna do. Okay. I hope you can hear it. Moral of the story: don't be a sloppy dumbass. That's a bridge output, so what I did there is I connected one end here to the output and another end to the chassis, which puts a lot of DC, half a supply rail, and you can see the cone moving. Right there, let me demonstrate. Oh boy. You can see the cone, can't you? Extreme movement, because there is large DC offset, which is not removed by the capacitor for the simple reason it is a bridge amplifier. So, I'm gonna crank up the volume so you can hear the static nice and loud. Let me do that. Oh, it maxes out at 15 and it was at 10. Now it's probably yelling. We will see. Okay, that's one channel. Now I connect to the other channel. It works. Now I connect to the other 2 channels, which unfortunately are obscured, so I can't access them from here, but I can put the thing on its face, hopefully. And now we test the one which is right now at the top of the screen. I'm showing you general procedure. Don't ask me how to do particular stereo because I don't know. Okay, this channel is alright. Next channel is alright. All 4 channels work. Excellent. Now I'm gonna hook a simple piece of wire for the antenna and we will see does this receive or not. Okay, for test purposes I tuned the station. You can see a nice piece of wire there. And I'm gonna play a short period of it, obviously. I think you know what a YouTube copyright policy is, and you understand why am I gonna play it for a short period of time. So here we go. Obviously try to not short the output because that will end up in tears. It actually consumes quite a lot of power. Right now it consumes half an amp at 12.5 volts, which is 6 watts. And this heatsink is getting warm doing nothing, without load. It's kinda disgusting, isn't it? Okay, here we go. You can hear that it does receive something. Let's try some talk radio. Hold on. Here we are. This hopefully will be a bit clearer. Jesus. And a bit stronger. Let's kick it down to 10. Okay. Alright. As you can see, it works. For the fun of it, I can go through each and every channel, but I tested it before. The static actually sounded equally well on each and every one, so I'm happy with that. The static sound alright, it wasn't distorted. So that's that. For this particular one, it's finished. All it took is one capacitor here and 2 burnt traces that has been replaced by a piece of wire. Next thing you do is you don't forget to put each and every screw you took out and leave it and give it to the happy customer. Thanks for watching. See ya.